I had another friend out this past weekend, and I was tasting him through a number of whiskeys, and I said, hey, we're going to Cedar Ridge.
Yeah.
We're filming there. And he said, Cedar Ridge Bourbon, that's what brought me to whiskey.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I broke out this bottle. He goes, that's the bottle.
Yeah.
That's the one. I'm your host, Jeff Sart. We're going to take you behind the scenes with the craft distillers who are pouring their heart and soul into crafting the next version of America's spirit. This is the Great American Whiskey Cookers. On this episode, we talk with Murphy Quint and Jamie Siefken about why Cedar Ridge Bourbon is the #1 selling whiskey in the state of Iowa. It's not Jim, Jack, Elijah, or Evan. Sorry, Kentucky. Not sorry. So where does your grain come from? Let's talk about that real quick. Your ingredients, where do you get it from?
Yeah, so we're very dedicated to all Iowa corn. That's very important to our business model, is that all the bourbon we produce, even the corn that goes into our rye, things like that, is going to come from the state of Iowa, some of which even comes from Winthrop, Iowa, where we have our own family farms. So all Iowa corn, and that'll be the way that we are as long as we're in business. When it comes to barley and rye, that's a little bit different. Those aren't grains that really grow here. And in addition to that, when you're working with barley, you're usually going to use malted barley that has an extra step in the process, and logistically that gets complicated. So we actually teamed up with Prairie Malt Facility based out of Saskatchewan to produce our malted barley. They do an amazing job for us, and we've got a really good partnership going with them. And then our rye, we kind of bounce around. We're always tweaking things on the rye, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit as we get into this, but the rye, we've got it from many different places over the years.
Okay. But your primary ingredient, corn, which is a primary source of product from Iowa, is corn.
That's exactly
And
right.
it comes from Iowa.
Yep. Comes from Iowa, and we're dedicated to yellow #2 dent corn. That's the primary corn that's grown in the state of Iowa. At some point, we'll probably experiment a little bit more with unique varieties.
Mm-hmm.
They'll always be grown in Iowa, but something that's hot right now is like Bloody Butcher corn, things like that. Our primary offering will always come from that #2 dent, but we'll experiment as the years go on. One thing that makes me really happy is that I think we've had that impact on a lot of Iowans. I think Cedar Ridge Bourbon in particular has brought a lot of Iowans to the whiskey category in general, and it was that 80 proof bourbon that we really started with. So we do have the #1 selling bourbon in the state of Iowa.
And that's above Jim Beam.
That's right.
Above Jack Daniels. Yeah. You name it.
Well, in 40...
Buffalo Trace, but
Buffalo Trace.
No big deal. In 49 states, Kentucky bourbon is going to be at the top of the charts. In the state of Iowa, Cedar Ridge is at the top, and that's something that we really love, and we've had a lot of support from Iowans.
I remember when you guys came out with this a number of years ago, and it came out at 80 proof.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a friend of mine stopped over and gave me this. You notice it's bottle number 88, barrel number 160.
Yep.
So this goes back a ways.
It does.
Right? And this is 80 proof. Whereas this one, your flagship bourbon now, is 86 proof.
Yep.
So my question is, why the move from 80 proof to 86?
Personally, as a production guy, as someone who's always producing whiskey that is shooting and aiming to be flavorful and stuff like that, I'm always wanting to go higher proof when possible, because I want to give someone maximum flavor, and then if they want to dilute it down, more power to them. They can take it to the proof they want by adding some water. So I'm always wanting to go higher proof when I can. However, you can't always just take a product from 80 proof to 120. There's a lot to consider there: price points, costs, things like that. So you can't always do that. That's why we've released other products along the way. But going from 80 to 86, I'd say, like I said, there's a bunch of reasons, but the main one would just be consumer trends. I mean, the market has really moved away from 80 proof whiskey. There's a couple out there, but a lot of people don't want to take a chance on something that's 80 proof anymore. 86 is usually going to be kind of the new floor. So we've got that going. We've got our 86, and we've got the 116 to kind of give people the full range, and they can explore between them.
And then you have so what your answer on
the
86?
Thanks, Jeff. I think it just tastes better. I know that's simple, but it just tastes better.
It gives you a better mouthfeel.
It's balanced. I think it's just a little bit more flavor than the 80, right? And the trends are part of it. But we really hone in a lot. Us in the marketing team and the rest of the exec team, we really try to hone in on who we're talking to, who's buying it, who's our customer, right? And like, you know, obviously we sell a lot in Iowa. Like Murphy said, we're the #1 bourbon in Iowa, and that, you know, means a lot to us. And you know, we're humbled and honored for, you know, all the loyal support and, you know, all the fellow Iowans that are living here and the ones that have moved away, right? Because us Iowans get crazy about stuff from Iowa. But it speaks to that consumer. It's easy drinking. It's your Tuesday, you know, weeknight bourbon that, you know, if you accidentally put down a bottle with your neighbor, you know, oops. I mean, it's not like it's tastes better.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
And to Jamie's point, six proof points goes a long way. I mean, it seems so small, like going from 80 to 86. 6 proof points can change a lot. I mean, 1 or 2 proof points can change a lot. So it was fairly significant. But if you can pull that bottle back up for a second, I mean,
I can. Yeah.
One thing, I mean,
Notice there's not a lot left. Of it.
yeah, that's good. That's what we want. No, but I mean, at some point, it was kind of time to change the label in general. I mean, that was when that was the product we originally came out with. We were still fairly small, fairly new. The industry was new.
Yeah.
We weren't even called a craft distillery back then. We were a micro distillery. Craft distilleries weren't even really a thing back then. So you know, it was time to evolve the package. It was a time to evolve the product. And at one point when we decided to make all those changes, we decided that the whiskey's better at 86 than 80. Let's just do that along with our label modification.
And what's the age of your bourbon, your whiskey?
So our bourbon is going to be a minimum of 3 years old.
Okay.
And we've got a few different offerings. Obviously, you get to the barrel proof, that's usually going to be a minimum of 4 years old, and we go up from there. But everything that we offer is going to be a minimum of 3.
And how many expressions do you guys have in the whiskey category? Because I know you guys have gin, you have vodka. I mean, you've got all the other stuff that most craft distillers have. But how many whiskey expressions do you have?
So in the Cedar Ridge line, Cedar Ridge whiskeys in particular, I mean, I'd say there's probably 12 to 15. I mean, you got to keep in mind we do all sorts of seasonal stuff, you know, and then there's like the tiers within a category. I mean, even our bourbon, there's going to be our straight bourbon, our barrel proof bourbon, then there's single barrel bourbon, there's port cask bourbon, double barrel bourbon. So there's kind of like umbrellas. There's one tier, then there's offshoots of each particular product. So probably between 12, 15 labels in general on the Cedar Ridge whiskey side of things.
That's a good amount of expressions.
It's a lot. It keeps us hopping. It's part of the reason why that packaging floor that we talked about is going 5 days a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you source any of your whiskeys that you make? Are you sourcing anything?
Not for the Cedar Ridge line. So like many other distilleries, we also do some contract product.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got our Cedar Ridge stuff it's you know, all distilled here, all aged here, bottled here, the whole works. But then for some of the contract stuff, we do bring in some whiskey and blend it with our own. We don't do anything that's entirely sourced.
No.
Yeah, but some of the contract products are like 50-50.
Sure.
But anything in the Cedar Ridge label is going to be entirely done here.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. So where are you guys distributed at? I mean, where can people find Cedar Ridge product?
Yeah, you know, so we've been selling outside of Iowa since when, Murph? 2013, 14, something like that. We started in Minnesota, right?
It was 2013.
13, okay. So we've done a few different things over the years. You know, I know Murph was involved with a lot of it when he first kind of came back, and you know, I think it's just, you know, distribution in our industry can be a challenge, right? If you're a smaller craft distiller or someone doesn't move a lot of cases, or you're trying to break through and become that next whiskey brand that you know puts himself on the map, right? And we're really trying to, you know, create Cedar Ridge as this legacy whiskey brand from right here in the Midwest and Iowa, right? So, you know, we have some partnerships outside of Iowa, kind of a regional focus, and so we're really trying to build that brand. We won tons of awards. Murphy and his team's putting together great juice in a bottle. Like, we want to be first and foremost when people are talking about American single malt, when it starts to kind of become a thing, right? I mean, legacy brands don't have American single malt, right? So it's not there yet. So we're trying to be at the doorstep when this industry and this part of, you know, this product comes to life. And so East and West Coast, Florida, Texas is kind of where we're trying to get our foot in the door right now.
Sure.
And you know, we'll see how that goes over the next couple of years.
So we're lucky here in Iowa that we can get pretty much all the Cedar Ridge product, and even luckier for me because I can just drive down the road,
Exactly.
stop here at the distillery and pick up pretty much what I want. Where do they find you? How does somebody get in touch with you?
CedarRidgeDistillery.com is our website, first and foremost, right? Tons of product information. all kinds of different stuff that we have going on. Visit the distillery, get tours, all that kind of stuff. Instagram is probably our best place, in my opinion, to follow, especially if you're a whiskey fan, to kind of see everything that Murphy and his team doing. That's at Cedar Ridge, Iowa. Murphy's got a page as well, so I'm not sure if he wants to pitch that or,
But I have my own little Instagram account. I just do some behind-the-scenes stuff, kind of bringing light to production. So at Murphy Quint on Instagram if you want to check that out. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm Jeff Sart for the Great American Whiskey Cookers for Murphy. Jamie, thank you guys for this discussion and talking about Cedar Ridge. You can find us at thegreatamericanwhiskeycookers.com. So until next time, be good at it. See ya.